Out of all of the devastating addictions from drugs to alcohol to pornography to shopping and, yes, even religion, there is one addiction that is oftentimes overlooked, but one of the most devastating. Join me as we discuss the addiction of people pleasing.
Today is about the power of you.
We can be whatever we dream.
You're locked into another episode of 15 Minutes of Shame. Each week, we'll help you rebuild your life one brick at a time by addressing real-life issues from a practical and biblical perspective.
I had to believe in myself like never before.
This is the Shame-Free Radio Show.
Finding the solution to become the greatest.
And now your host, minister, author, grief and trauma support specialist, Dr. Ronald Zion Roseborough.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is it.
Greetings, Shame-Free Life family. Welcome back for another installment and episode of 15 Minutes of Shame on the Shame-Free Life Radio. I am your host, Ronald Zion, and last week we definitely pushed the envelope concerning crossing paths with conflict, but yes, we are going to get into the addiction of people pleasing. Now, it is an addiction. It definitely can be. And there are so many people that perhaps you know, or maybe you are one. I know I definitely was one, that was an addict, that was a fiend, that was strung out on pleasing other people. Now, there's got to be balance in everything that we do. And having a healthy balance is so important, and it's essential for our human growth and development in pleasing other people. Even the word talks about in Romans 15:1, those of us who are strong should have an obligation to bear the failings or the weakness of those who are weak and not please ourselves. And also in Galatians chapter 6, verse 2, Apostle Paul says for us to bear one another's burdens, and in doing so, you fulfill the law of Christ or the Messiah, HaMashiach. We've got to have a healthy balance. And in this world today, we see such a determination to please myself. It's all about me. I could care less about you. I'm going to get mine. It's just me. And a lot of people are determined to follow through with this ideology of meism. It's all about me. But when one is more concerned about pleasing himself or herself, that will lead to narcissism. And on the other end of that spectrum is a sociopath. Now, narcissism is that I'm only concerned with me and my feelings. I could care less about you because I'm under the spotlight. It's all about me. And unfortunately, this type of behavior, the church is definitely not exempt from. Because again, wherever you have people, you will have problems. And so this is a part of our selfishness that we harbor inside of our hearts, unless some healing takes place and some freedom takes place from the healing holistically. And again, we see this behavior everywhere, that it's all about me. And even in testimonies, I remember, as a youth, coming up, that testimonies, basically it glorifies the Lord. It glorifies Yah concerning what you've gone through. And I know that the scripture says that that we overcome the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony. But oftentimes our testimony, if we're not careful, it would override the glory of the Most High. What do you mean? Let me give you a classic example. One would get up and say, well, hey, listen, or maybe speaking to a friend. Hey, listen, let me tell you how good God is, to me. Well, Yeah, but listen, let me tell you. I mean, I was dogged out. I was ostracized. My father abandoned me, or my mother abandoned me. I had a broken relationship. Child, I caught my husband cheating, or I caught my wife cheating. And I tell you what, I mean, I have just been through it. I mean, I've been lied on. My name been scandalized. But God is good. Now, just listen to that. All that you've been through, and it could be an actual fact that you have gone, because we all have gone through something, and it's very subjective to us, because trauma is trauma, and it is not my job to exalt my past trauma above yours, and vice versa, because it's all subjective, and pain is pain, regardless of your age, regardless of your socioeconomic background, regardless of your gender, regardless of your color, regardless of how smart you think you are. That pain is pain, and it doesn't feel good. However, when we begin to focus so much energy on the pain, our eyes become blind to the one who reigns. And that is giving all glory to Yah. Yeah, in spite of what I've gone through, yes. However, let me spend more time on the healing process. Let me spend, for the sake of the example, let me spend more time on glorifying the one who sustained me in the midst of, and then fixed me because of what has happened or transpired. So I say all that to say this: there's got to be a healthy balance once again, because if not, we'll slip into a narcissistic behavior that is all about me. And I'm not concerned about you, because it's about me, because what happened to me is never going to happen to me again. I'm going to make sure. And so we block people out of our lives. They don't get the best part of us because we're hiding the best part of us. And that part that needs to be healed, it is under the shroud or layers of so much. I remember what happened to me, so therefore it's all about me. And again, the other end of that is a sociopathic behavior, sociopath. That this is what promotes or compels one to strap a bomb to his or her chest and walk into a high populated area, decimating and destroying everything and everyone in his path, including himself, on a kamikaze mission, a sociopath. But having an unhealthy balance is people pleasing, but is also a trap. Having an unhealthy balance is a trap in itself. So we understand to have a healthy balance is important, because having a healthy balance, in all intents and purposes, it allows me to be able to become a servant of you. And we're living in a time whereas servanthood is almost non-existent in many regards. It still exists, but almost non-existent, because again, it's all about me. And being a servant has so many great benefits. I'm not saying being a doormat. I'm talking about being a servant. Being a servant means that I get to come out of myself to be able to become a part of you and your life and your journey, because I believe that the greatest investment is not your stocks, not portfolios, not the real estate investments that you have, entrepreneurship. It's not in gold, not in silver, not in Bitcoin, but the greatest and the most profound investment is people. Clap that up. People. And so when we have this understanding in just crossing paths with people, just like this podcast, this Godcast, that it is an honor for you to take time out of your busy schedule in life that you will never, ever get again. Lose money, blow money, we can get money again. Okay. You wash your clothes. Now your clothes come out damaged. You can go to the mall or you can go online and order new clothes. House full of clothes. Okay. Well, yeah, you can get another one. Car repossessed. Yes. There's a car lot on every corner. You can definitely get another one. But time is something that can never be duplicated. It is an investment. So I value your time in joining me. And so therefore, we are crossing paths right now. So I'm getting something from you, and hopefully, all glory to Yah that you're getting something from me. There is a positive transference that is taking place that will benefit both of us, that we all can benefit from healing and understanding our purpose in the Lord, in Yah, but also understanding the power that we have that oftentimes we forfeit, or the power that we don't use in and of our own selves to change anything at any given time because of that power. So again, having an unhealthy balance in people pleasing, it is a trap. When I look at Proverbs 29:25, it says that the fear of man or woman is a dangerous trap, but to trust in Yahweh means safety. Well, what do you mean the fear of man is a dangerous trap? Well, the fear of rejection, the fear of disapproval, the fear of shame, or the shame of rejection. This is rooted in the fear of rejection and disapproval, in unhealthy balance, in people pleasing. When we begin to go on this tangent of pleasing others, Paul talked about, and I'm just going to throw one more scripture. I'm definitely not going to overwhelm you, but I just want to kind of lay this foundation so we can really move forward. But in Galatians 1:10, Galatians chapter 1, verse 10, Paul says, I am not trying to please people. I want to please God. Do you think I'm trying to please people? If I were doing that, I would not be a servant of Christ or Yeshua. People pleasing, when it is not balanced but unbalanced or imbalanced and unhealthy. Pleasing others. Oftentimes people get lost in pleasing other people. You operate out of a identity that was never designed for you and I by engaging in people pleasing. People pleasing will lead you to either jail or hell. Or thirdly, codependency. What do you mean by that, man? Well, people pleasing will lead you to jail, which means an emotional and psychological bondage. Unable to be yourself, unable to unravel your true and real self, which is the essence of who we are. Who we are biologically is really not who we are emotionally and spiritually, psychologically. Getting to the very essence and the core of who we are. That is our real self. And that takes vulnerability. And it's very challenging. And in many ways, it is difficult to be vulnerable, to unravel who we truly are if we are engaging in pleasing other people. Because you may not want to do this for that person. You may not want to engage with another person concerning something, but just to please that person because I fear rejection, just to please that other person because I want to be validated and accepted and approved, because I understand the pain of disapproval and the shame of rejection, then I will smother my true self, my real identity. I will smother my desires and my wants, which are not selfish. It is a reality. But I will put all of that on the shelf and on the back burner just to please that other person because I fear rejection and the shame of it. That in itself is incarceration. We often talk about, people who are incarcerated, but I will submit to you that there are many people that are physically locked up, incarcerated, but are more free than many of us walking the streets, going to a 9 to 5, going to school, colleges and universities and technical schools, driving around in our luxury cars and SUVs. You see us at the gym working out. You see them at Starbucks conducting business, socializing, having a cup of macchiato, latte, or whatever it is that people are drinking in Starbucks. But those people are in more bondage, in an emotional and psychological prison than many who are physically serving time in Folsom, in Angola, and in so many other facilities, youth detentions. And so it is a state of mind. And when I talk about that people pleasing will lead you to hell, well, living a life of torment from false obligations. How many people I know I have felt so obligated to someone else, and it smothered your real self. A false sense of obligation. Parents have that. For their children, and children have that for their parents. We oftentimes operate not out of a real obligation, but a false obligation. Doing it, but not really feeling it. How many sisters out there that are listening or that know other women that you really didn't want to have sex with him, you're just lonely. You really didn't. But out of false obligation, you did. And now you wish that you had not. And how many men out there can say that? How many commitments that you obligate yourself to? Hey, listen, can you do such and such for me? Hey, listen, I'm low on money. Well, wait a minute. You've been low on money since I met you. What are you doing with your money? Are you smoking your money? Are you on drugs? Are you blowing your money? You got a gambling addiction? I mean, what are you doing with your money? What are you doing with your time? But again, this person comes back again and again, and we become an enabler for this individual because we're not getting to the root of the problem. Not just their problem, but our problem. See, a person who is an addict or a person that is engaged in people pleasing, they will continue to milk you dry if you let them. So the problem doesn't only exist in them, but the problem exists in us. Why do I feel a need to enable this individual when I know or I feel or there is overwhelming evidence that this person is a liability and not an asset? So yes, he or she has a problem. But let me take a look, as Michael Jackson said, the man in the mirror. And let me look at myself to see why I am fueling this monster as it relates to people pleasing. Looking in the mirror at ourselves to solve a bigger problem, not just the person that is coming, that has, that has soliciting us or trying to make another appeal. But why do I feel such a draw or a driving need to give them what they desire, but it's not what I desire? And which leads us into people will lead you not only to jail and hell, but also codependent relationships, codependency, which is an emotional or psychological over-reliance on someone or something. In over-reliance, we are to be completely dependent on the Most High, on Yah, and not on anyone else. I know I have been in codependent relationships. What about yourself? Codependency, C-O, that means what? Two. And dependent. You are relying upon someone else to make a decision for you. You are reliant on someone else to make you happy. You are relying on someone else to walk out your God-given, your Yah-giving purpose in life, when it is our own responsibility to do that. No one should ever have that much power in your life. Even the Lord himself, Yah. He gives us the power of choice, that we are free moral agents, that we have a choice to either choose him, to receive him, or reject him. And even though that he would be well within his right to manipulate us to serve him, because he created us. He could hold those cards if he choose to. I created you, so I'm going to design you to serve me. I am not the creature, I'm the creator. You are the creature. So you need to serve me. I created you. You didn't create yourself. But he doesn't even do that. He allows us the power of choice. So if he doesn't manipulate us, why should we allow anyone else to manipulate us when we have the power of choice on the inside? So let's take a look at some symptoms of people pleasing. Some symptoms of people pleasing. Number one, they want everyone around them to be happy. Isn't that amazing? And oftentimes tragic. They want everyone around them to be happy. I know I fell into that trap. I want everyone around me to be happy, but I'm not happy. I want everyone around me to be happy, to like me, to approve of me. Secondly, they put everyone else before themselves. Is that you? Putting everyone else before themselves. Running into a phone booth to change from Clark Kent to Superman. Or perhaps you're Superwoman. You run into a dresser room with the S on your chest. You come out to save the day, to save this person, that person, when you yourself are lost. Giving your very last to someone when you need that yourself to survive. A fiend for approval and validation and acceptance. Thirdly, number three, they need to be needed. They need to feel important and that they are contributing to the lives of others. A need to feel needed. A need to feel it is an addiction to, and we all are social beings, and we all have a desire to want to be appreciated. We all have a desire to be appreciated and to be accepted and to know that we are desired and needed. That is a component of our DNA because we're social beings. And it also begins to validate our own image or positive image of ourselves. But what if you have a distorted image of yourself? What if you have a fragmented image of yourself, not happy with yourself? Then the need or the thirst or the thing to be needed becomes far greater than the average need to be needed. If I'm not needed, then I go into a dark place of depression. When I'm not needed, I feel less than. When I'm not needed, I feel insignificant. Or when I'm not needed by someone or some people, a group of people, then I feel rejected. And that rejection, I will just throw into the pile of the landfill of rejections that I have received since birth. Rejection after rejection after rejection after rejection. So therefore, to silence that voice of rejection in me, I have got to feel the need to be needed. And number 4, these are symptoms of people pleasing. Number 4, they often find themselves used and empty. After all of that, after all of the relationships, after all of the bed partners, after all of the bars, happy hour, after all of the shouting in church, walking away, feeling empty. My God. And feeling used. Symptoms of people pleasing. Codependent relation, putting ourselves in a relationship with people. We see them on social media, especially. Social media is a wonderful tool when it's in the hands of mature adults that are walking out their healing. And nobody has licked this thing. We all should be walking out our own healing holistically. But when social media is in the hands of those who are fragmented and immature, it's like putting a 9mm, a 50 cal in the hands of a 2-year-old. You have nothing but death and destruction. And so we see it in different groups and cliques and, individuals have gone to high school together or college together and different groups together. And, hey, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Hey, look at me now and I'm flying here and I'm flying there. Maybe not right now because of coronavirus, but just balling out of control and gotta, take a selfie, post it on and all of that has its place, and that's cool. But when you see the overwhelming behavior of this type of pattern, and then when you take a closer look, wait a minute. This brother is living paycheck to paycheck. Wait a minute. That's not her car. She's at a car dealership posing in front of an Aston Martin. I thought that was her car. Wait a minute. This person is not living this way. This is not their life or lifestyle, but it is the opposite. People pleasing. To please others that could care less about you. Pleasing others that don't know you. Pleasing others that are not interested in you. Or pleasing others that know you, sitting back, eating their popcorn, watching you self-destruct. Or pleasing others when They don't want you to please them. They want to see you at a more healthy place psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually, that you in and of your own soul can be saved.
God today.
And happy, enjoying life. Now, we talked about the symptoms. Now let us talk about the cure to people pleasing, because there is a cure to this symptom that we all have done to please people. Well, number one, inward validation is so important. Number one, inward validation. Your validation doesn't come by him, her, or them, but an inward validation concerning yourself, an inward look, an inward reflection of yourself, an inward validation to validate yourself. If we are waiting for anyone else to validate us, then we put the power in their hands. But the validation must come from the inside. And even scripture talks about that, in Ephesians 3:20, now unto him who's able to do exceeding abundantly above all that you can ask or even think. But guess what? According to the power that is in you. There is a power that is in you that is untapped. There is a power that is in you that must be fully engaged. There is a power that is in you that you are responsible to use. So with this enormous, magnificent power that you have on the inside of you, why are you waiting for someone to give you something less important than what you already have? An inward validation, an inward acceptance. But you cannot celebrate what you don't appreciate. And so therefore, oftentimes we look on the outside of us when everything that you need is on the inside of you. It's waiting to now come to surface from being smothered under the layers of shame, rejection, fear, inadequacy, inferiority. So it's waiting to come to surface. That's number one, inward validation. That's the cure to people pleasing. Let's move on to number two. Own your purpose for your life. Own it. Own your purpose for your life. Everyone listening to this podcast, you have a specific and detailed purpose. You're not on this planet to just take up space, but you have a purpose. That purpose, number one, is to bring glory to the one who made you, which is Yahweh. He made you in his image. He also made you for a particular purpose. And this purpose is so important and is so detailed that even when we, regardless of what your faith may be, and that's cool, we're not here to debate that. But whatever your purpose is, my purpose is, this is what's real sobering. We have got to stand before the one who made us, who created us, who didn't manipulate us emotionally to serve him, to receive him. We can still reject him, but we still got to stand before him to give an account of what we did with our purpose. It's almost like the ones who had the talent. It talked about that in scripture, and the one who had 5 talent, he multiplied it, but the one who was just given 1 talent did not multiply. He did not use the gifts. He did not use the talent to glorify the one who gave him the gifts and the talent. And then he had to, in the end, face the one who gave him the purpose. What'd you do with what I gave you? And we cannot give any excuses. We cannot pass the blame to anyone else like Adam. Hey, Adam, where are you? Well, listen, what happened? Well, it was this woman. She did it. No, no, no. I'm coming to you. What did you do with the purpose? So that is very sobering. But the reality is that you have a purpose for your life. Your life is so important and so valuable. Every inhale and exhale that you take, it is so important. It is so priceless because it highlights your purpose. If you are breathing right now, I mean, what a celebration. I mean, we talk about the inauguration that's going to take place. Man, forget that. Let's celebrate you. Let's celebrate your life. Let's celebrate who you are in this life and what you are to do for the one who gave you life and sustained your life. So number 2 is to own your purpose. Own it. It's no one else's responsibility. Own your own purpose for your life. Number 3, check in with your true self. Check in. You know, in counseling, we oftentimes talk about, that we do check-ins, checking in with the member or checking in with the client. You know, well, how was your week? Tell me what happened. How was your day? Checking in with that person. Okay, well, listen, you said that you were going to confront this other individual last Tuesday, the last time that we spoke. So how did that turn out? Let me check in with you. We check in with everybody except ourselves. Check in with your real self, meaning, let me examine, am I people pleasing? Am I trying to please this person? Let me check in with me, because if I am engaging in people pleasing, the problem is not that person. The problem is within me, because I understand if the problem is within me, the power to change the problem also resides in me. Let me check in, not with anybody else, but let me check in with me. You know, it's equivalent to only a fool would get into a car and drive that car without checking the oil.
God, today?
Only a fool would drive a car and not engage in checking the fluids and changing the oil, putting in fresh oil to increase the longevity of that car, the durability of that car. And so we oftentimes have to engage in checking in with our true selves, our one true selves, regardless of how quirky you are, regardless of how you're not cool like the next dude, or you're not as sophisticated as the next woman. No, checking in with your true self. How do I feel about me? Because how I truly feel about me will be seen in the interaction and in the relationships that I have. Number 4, the cure to people pleasing. Reprogram your understanding of no. Reprogram. Re means to do again. Reprogram your understanding of no. There is a power to saying no. I know that you may not think so, and I know that you probably have been taught otherwise, but there is such a liberating power of saying, I'm not going to be able to do it. No. Reprogram how you think about it. Reprogram how you even feel about it. Reprogram the guilt that is associated, and we're going to talk about that, with saying no. There is a freeing agent. There is a freeing energy of just saying no, especially when saying yes takes me further from my purpose concerning my own self, for my own life, for my own creator, to advance yours. How many people do we oftentimes see this? And of course, the church is definitely not immune to this. That you see people that have, that they're powerful in the ministry, and God has, has a stamp of approval on their lives, living such a chaste life, not a perfect life, because who perfect? I haven't met one yet, except for the Most High. And but their talents and gifts are not being used. You just see them looking deep on the front row. Or how many people on your job, that are very talented, have, not just by way of academia in colleges and universities, but just their experience on the job, their experience with doing this job. And they have excelled beyond their contemporaries, but they're not being promoted. They're not being advanced. And it's not that they don't have the wherewithal or the drive for advancement, but they're held back in that position because the supervisor understands nobody can do this job like Jennifer. No one can do this job like Jason. And rather than to sign off on them advancing out of this department under my leadership, moving up and beyond to better things, to challenge them more, but to also use the gifts, the talent, and the experience in them to further the company, I'm going to keep them in my department doing this job that they have already mastered, that's boring to them. They're not intrigued by the job. They have no drive when it comes to doing the job. They're just very mechanical and robotic because the very essence of them and the depth of them is not being challenged and not being sharpened. So I'm going to keep them from promotion. So we have to reprogram our understanding of no. No, I cannot do it because I have a purpose to advance to. And if you're not going to help me, I'm going to help myself. No, I'm not going to be able to loan you any more money. No, I'm sorry, but I cannot take you there because that aids to your addiction. No. And that brings us to number 5. Dismiss any no guilt. Dismiss that no guilt. There is a guilt that comes associated with with saying no and taking a posture of no. There is a guilt associated with it. There are people that will try to make you feel guilty about you doing what is in your best interest because it does not serve their best interest. Reprogramming your understanding of no. Number 5, dismiss any guilt of no. Dismiss it. Dismiss that guilt. That does not belong to you. That is their stuff. It's for them to wear, not for you. And when you're saying no, you're also saying yes. Isn't it amazing how we're saying no what we need to say yes to and saying yes what we need to say no to oftentimes? And the very thing when it comes to people pleasing and saying yes to, they're essentially saying no to their true self and real self. They're saying this, they are saying no to their own purpose in life. They are saying no to the very things that bring them inner joy and peace and freedom. Now, number 6, disconnect from toxic leeches. Disconnect from toxic leeches. There are people that are set in place to just draw from you, pull from you, take from you, but give you nothing in return to advance yourself. These people are nothing more than takers and not givers. These people are determined to draw the life blood out of you emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. There's so many pastors that are burnt out because of this. And isn't it interesting, excuse me, that the professions that have the least longevity are attorneys, doctors, and pastors. It's very important that you save something in the tank. It's very important that parameters and boundaries are set in saying no. Because when you're saying no to a leech that is there to just take, you are saying yes to yourself, to give time, to give emotional energy to give psychological strength to yourself, because you understand at the end of the day, you must give account for yourself, but also you want to have something in the tank for someone else who is not a leech, who's not there to suck the life out of you emotionally, but that just need a little help concerning their journey of trauma, concerning their journey of grief, and they just need that emotional support. Or maybe it is a person who really does need, in all intents and purposes, for the example, some money just to get on their feet because they have a drive and a passion to not be below, but to be ahead, to be on top. And so therefore they will take what you have and they will not blow it. They will not smoke it. They will not shop it up. They will take it and invest it. They will take it and use it as a rung from a ladder to now move to a higher place now of ownership, a higher place of self-discovery, a higher place to improve their own quality of life and living. And so those are the people to invest in. But to disconnect from leeches, this may be your family members, some of them. This may be your so-called friends, which are nothing more than frenemies. They are enemies in disguise as friends. But leeches, they are not contributing anything as it relates to your well-being, your welfare, your wholeness, your relationship with Yah, your mental and emotional state, because they are on an assignment to drain you dry and to leave you, as we talked about it earlier, used and empty. And lastly, number 7, the cure to people pleasing, to embrace the value of yourself. Embracing the value of yourself, understanding how important you are, understanding how priceless you are. Not from a place of narcissism, but from a place of reality that you are beautifully and wonderfully made in the image of Yah, the Most High. That you are so important that down to your DNA structure, you are different than anyone else on this planet. From your fingerprints to the retina, to everything about your chromosomes, everything about your DNA pattern, that you are totally different. And even if we find somebody who look like you, who walk like you, who talk like you, who have the same educational background as you or whatever, they are not you, because you are uniquely different and you are of high importance and value. We are to embrace the value of ourselves. And oftentimes individuals that find themselves in codependent relationships, we find ourselves in engaging in people pleasing and a drive to please other people, because we have not yet come to the realization or the understanding of how valuable you really are. Why are you belonging in a display case placing yourself on a clearance rack for someone else.
God, today.
Understanding your value. Understanding how priceless you are. So much so that the Most High that gave you life, that gave you gifts and talents, wants to get a record of what you did with what he gave you because of your pricelessness in his eyes, being precious in his eyes. So, family, it is the utmost important. It is utmost important for us to understand who we are, our purpose in life, and that it is more important, far more important, to please the one who gave you purpose, who gave us life, than anyone else. These are the cures that I have found. And perhaps you would like to apply these 7 cures in people pleasing. If you find yourself pleasing others more than yourself, finding yourself in a compromising situation yet again, finding yourself having to go the extra mile. You really don't want to. Why didn't I say no? And once again, the 7 cures are: number 1, inward validation. Number 2, own your purpose for your life. Number 3, check in with yourself, your true self. Number 4, reprogram your understanding of saying no. Number 5, dismiss any no guilt that you may have or that others put on you. Number 6, disconnect from toxic leeches. And number 7, embrace the value of your true self. Well, family, we have our homework to do. I have mine. I'm not exempt. And you have yours. Definitely share this podcast. Reach out to us at our website. We're doing some awesome and amazing things. Not only, and that website is theshamefreelife.com, theshamefreelife.com. Check out the books that are there, that I think that would be a great present for someone, if not for yourself. Also, check out the counseling that we have that's taking place in consulting. Just reach out to us, especially when it comes to trauma. This is what we deal with. We deal with trauma and grief, because these are injuries. And when we speak of trauma, it's not just PTSD, post-traumatic stress, but also trauma that occurs by way of an injury that happened in life. And with every injury, there sometimes, depending on the severity, there is surgery. But regardless, there's definitely rehab in getting you back and helping you rebuild one brick at a time. So just check us out there at theshamefreelife.com. And so it has been a pleasure yet once again. Definitely share this message. Listen to it yourself. I'm going to listen to it myself, because we all are guilty of people pleasing and fall into the addiction of people pleasing. But hopefully with these 7 remedies to the symptoms, we'll find ourselves getting to a much stronger place, a better place, a more proficient place as it relates to walking out our divine purpose for the one who gave us the purpose in the first place. This is your host, Ronald Zion. I love you to life, fam. And this is the place where we help to rebuild you one brick at a time, because your life begins when you say so.
Thank you for joining us on the Shame Free Life Radio Show for 15 Minutes of Shame. Follow us on IG and Twitter at Shame Free Life. For information on promoting your business with us, contact us at theshamefreelife@gmail.com. Until next time, your life begins when you say so.